So here's our shiny new cannabis company in my town, Aldea. It's kind of like Idea Cannabis. AldeaCannabis.com. Beautiful facility. Took them quite a while to build it. There's a cool crane. I've noticed a lot of houses that have been rebuilt around here, and they're doing really good stuff, good work on the design, aesthetics, and the build quality. It's fun to see. You ride by these roads and see the results of projects like this one. I passed another house down there. I didn't stop because it was on a hill. But really good work. Beautiful homes. Out and about again, folks. It's a beautiful day, a bit windy, chilly. So I'm gonna shoot in 60p 4K Osmo Action Cam this time and see what it looks like. It just takes a lot longer to upload and download and render and all that kind of stuff. Well, basically the uploading to the computer, to the editing software takes longer, and to the hard drive. After that it's okay because you work in proxy mode and it takes longer, but it might look good. So if I'm not gonna talk much, just take some pretty shots of cycling, it might be better. Yeah, so I was gonna try to find this area, this region. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I know that one. Yeah, I won't go that way. By Santana Market that I thought I might be able to get lost in and explore, because there's some really nice land and trees down there. But I'm not sure I have enough juice to go that far today. Also 60p, I can slow it down on a 25 frames per second timeline and get a little slow-mo. It's all good for action cam footage. It makes it more stable. Yeah, it's already kind of spring, so all the festivals are coming back. Carnival on their farms. Road work, as I said. So I got to an area that's unfamiliar, turned right on a random road. So now I'm in exploration mode. This is what I live for. Random zones of beauty. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Of course, I'm filming into the sun, aren't I? Yeah, it's looking good. So I have a new bicycle seat with gel to see if it helps a little bit on the long rides. But it's a different shape of seat from what I'm used to, so I'm noticing that. Yeah, I don't have as much muscle back there as I used to, so my backside gets a little tired after a few hours in the saddle. I don't know how these guys did it in 1923 in Montana, these old geezers. Oh man. In the saddle all day. So there's a view. Yeah, I think I did find another way to the market that's different from what I usually, another street, Santana Market. When I get close to home, it's really tough. If you've been in the saddle for 2 or 3 hours, at the very end, you're tired, and you're like, oh no, I really have to put a lot of energy into this, getting back home, and you're already kind of tired. And I have a coffee or maybe a protein yogurt before I leave on these long morning rides. And you do just run out of gas. I mean, I can always stop at a cafe and get a pastel nata or a cup of coffee or a little snack. I'm not going to starve out here. But I like to just try to take a 3-4 hour ride, get back around 12, take a shower, make lunch. That's always nice. Yeah, so this is good. I'm going to go back to this other road that I passed and see if it'll take me down the direction that I want to go. Oh, maybe that's a dead end. No? Looks like it goes in the direction. Or maybe not. All kinds of little nice homes tucked away back here. Alright, that's a dirt road dead end. That's the way you find out, people. Okay, so I'm retracing my steps because if I had continued, I would be going in the wrong direction again. And I know going back over those sets of hills takes quite a while, so I need a lot more power and energy to get back that way. So I'm retracing my steps. And heading for home. Luckily, I keep finding new roads on the way back to explore. It's also fun having the Garmin watch because I can see where I've been on Google Maps after my trip. So yeah, Google tracks us, but it has so many good services, and all we have to do is learn how to think, and then we can practice good mental hygiene and security and whatever else we think is important without freaking out about Google. Things could be different though, and I wish they were. A more open source, like Schmackenberger was saying, where people are thinking ahead about externalities and unintended consequences and being pro-social. But we never get ahead of things. It's just not in our DNA at the moment. Maybe thousands of years from now it'll be different. But we just do things to try to make money, and when bad things happen from our business activities, we just try to fix it. And by then the damage has been done. Ooh, sweet. Nice valley. Oh, this is a good road to know. So, yeah, the damage has been done, and it's expensive as hell to fix it. You know, lead in the gasoline was one example. There are so many others. The forever toxins and so on. It's just a fact. You know, we're putting so much into the ground and the water. Pretty soon it becomes ubiquitous. It just covers the world. So when the aliens find, 10 feet, 20 feet under, or whatever it is, e-waste, they're also going to find all these chemicals that we've been using for years. And chemicals in and of themselves aren't dangerous, necessarily. They're not bad. Chemicals can't be evil. But we can use them in certain ways that are deleterious to our health and our environment. And over time, the damage is done, and it hurts people's health, it hurts ecosystems' health, and so on. So I don't know why that should be controversial to some people. It should be obvious by now with the information we have and the data we have and the tools that we have, the analytical tools. If people wanted to know, they could know. And maybe make some different decisions if they have a chance to vote, or to influence their local leaders. Broken record, huh? Yeah, man. Whatever. What else you got for me? So we'll never get out ahead of anything. Tactical nukes, mini nukes, hypersonic nukes, whatever we make, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time and energy and money and brain power thinking through various scenarios and how it might actually do some harm, because that destroys innovation. That destroys business. And if your model of growth is just simply, making more stuff and selling more stuff to more people, makes total sense. But we live in a finite planet, and our planet has finite resources, and we're not at the point now where we're mining passing asteroids or other planets. And we probably shouldn't be thinking about that until we can effectively and carefully and considerately, with compassion and a love of life, manage our own home, our own planet, and make sure that life here is sustainable and healthy. But we don't think through things, so we're going to do what we got to do. And I'm reading this book about Smedley, this guy who wrote a pamphlet called Is A Racket. And it was another author who's writing this story and providing more historical context and more biographical context of Butler. And so, I mean, it's so clear what our thinking was in the 19th century about the Spanish American War, Cuba and Philippines in particular, but any other place in the world. The idea that without living space, frontier in America, living space in Germany, you curtail the spirit of men, the warlike spirit, where men can be men and extend their power and influence across the world, and women can stay home and make soldiers and do their role. And a lot of this, that's a nice view. A lot of the new conservatism and new right and neo-reactionary thinkers are bringing this back in. So you read every book in the world about Orthodox Christianity, and then you just say, that's it, that's my ideology, that's my dogma. I frame everything, I put everything else in that box, and that's how I see the world. And I don't think that's going to work now, because in the mid-19th century there was, what, 1 billion people or less? 500, I don't remember, but 1 billion, let's say 1 billion people. And now we're going on 10 billion. And it's not population per se that's a problem, it's just how we take care of people. And does growth mean that you're happier, healthier, more fulfilled in peaceful ways, or does it mean that you're out there killing the other guy because you want your team to have more? And of course getting killed in the process of doing so, but heroically. And then a few people survive and they write books. And it sounds all good. Except you're the lucky one that survived. So I wrote a piece, put it in globehackers.com blog, and on Medium, entitled "It Takes an Act of God." And you remember when Hillary Clinton, these people, after they get out of office, they write these books, and they're so like, oh yes, we're just that close to everything being wonderful. If people just understood it took a village. These kind of really self-congratulatory, self-help books about society or individuals. So basically the piece just says very briefly that we forget Aleppo really quick. A few years after, 2018-19, of course, then we have a pandemic. Nobody remembers how Aleppo got destroyed, or any city in Iraq, or what's happening in Yemen or Libya. But we have a new war to focus on, which is nice. It's exciting. And oh my God, this is the real deal. This is real good against evil. Finally, you got a real bad guy to fight. And after you beat him, after you grind his country into the dust, it's just going to turn out swimmingly, just like after you invade Iraq, ISIS comes along, swimmingly. Unintended consequences, perhaps. A little bit of a problem there. Of course, America had nothing to do with it. It is what it is, God's will. So basically the idea is, of course, we have this horrific, terrible, terrifying calamity in Turkey and Syria, this earthquake, which is an act of God that devastates places, destroys towns and villages, kills people, buries children alive. Portugal sent some bombeiros, emergency worker teams with dogs that search for people. And of course, that's the right thing to do. Portugal sent money. It's a relatively poor country, and Germany sends what, 8 million? I forget what it was. Some like chump change. Go buy a cup of coffee. Anyway, everybody's trying to do what they can. America's helping, but we won't take the sanctions off of Syria. That wouldn't be right. But we'll send them something. A lot of hope, a lot of thoughts and prayers, obviously. So once the calamity happens, it's on cable news 24/7, and everybody's so informed about everything that created the preconditions and the conditions for these things to occur. Not the acts of God, but parking a nuclear power plant on the ocean where you have historically a lot of tsunamis. Humans had nothing to do with that. They didn't think it through, but why would they? So you have those accidents. Of course, this is terrible, and on top of the sanctions and on top of the problems with Turkey and Armenia and other places, and their border problems with Syria, you have this. And the world pays attention in its attention deficit kind of way for a few days, and then of course we forget about it, go back to the big show, good against evil. So can you see down there, that was the cannabis world that I showed you in the beginning. So this is a good high angle view where you can see just how big it is. It's a proper little business down there. Home projects, the modern style. This one, they did a nice job of making this old windmill into a little house, cottage. That's nice. So I lost the beard. I'm sure many of you are very happy about that because you really care how I look. Some friends were teasing me about it the other day, so I said, I'll just cut it off. I'll cave into peer pressure, the fashion police. So yeah, acts of God. So now we go back to paying attention to the big fight, good against evil, and you know what that is. America can't seem to afford Medicare for all or school lunches for children, but it has no problem creating money out of thin air for F-22s, aircraft carriers, tanks, shells, rocket systems, artillery systems, troop carriers, anything military. And it loves to share that around the world, to express its force majeure or whatever. Where is the Pax Americana? I asked that question over 15 years ago in a blog post. It's just like, okay, what more do you have for me, Boulianti? It just never changes. It just seems to get more and more dangerous. So yeah, it takes an act of God. We come together for a while. We kind of try to help people. So they're starving in Somalia now. They're trying to subsist, to get by. You know, a drought partially was one of the reasons, many reasons why Syria got into a civil war. Arab Spring, the Iraq War, and so on. Many other reasons. It's complicated. But you have all that horror, all that bad luck, and then we wonder why there are Syrian refugees in Europe. And it's not that easy to take care of them because, you know, they're not like us. If you look at that Schmedley Butler thing, War Is A Racket, you understand the incredible depth of racism and disregard for Filipinos, for Central Americans, for South Americans, for Southeast Asians, on and on and on, over the course of history. And now a lot of people want to go back to that. It's very weird. You know, things have changed and all these genies are out of the bottle. So we can't put them back in. We're going to have to learn how to live with them and make good use of them in peaceful ways for the benefit of people and life on Earth, period. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to be a pom-pom boy and cheer every single war that comes, go ahead. Have fun. But when the boys and girls come home from a big war, do you think they're going to have any more consideration from their government and the deep state and multinational corporations than they got when they came back from wars in the third world? Will the suicide rate still be high? Will the alcoholism and drug addiction still be high? Will they still be suffering? Will there still be homeless veterans on the streets? I mean, I can hardly talk because it makes me upset to think about it. Now we have all this information on the internet. Can they get away from the fire hose of propaganda and find good information somewhere else that might deter them from wanting to join up? I'm not saying don't be patriotic. I'm saying figure out a different way to be patriotic besides spreading the forever wars all over the place. And causes for things, you don't think those through either. So there are many causes for wars. And they start, like I've said many times before, way before things get hot. It takes an act of God, people. to make us pay attention. But we're going to have to start paying attention ourselves and thinking things through and taking responsibility for our predicaments, for our circumstances, and making powerful people listen to us. Yeah, the big war may come. Wars aren't an act of God. Wars aren't acts of God. Wars are human things. Just like our mythologies are human creations. I can't imagine a God liking war, unless that God is a demigod and like a human being.